Welcome, everybody, to the Way Left Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin K. Dog Phillips in the place. No co host today. No co host. My co host is on vacation. He's traveled down to Miami. Uh, Shout out to Will Smith. Um, he's gone off to Miami and with his family, and so he won't be here today. So I'm the only host for this episode, and I'm also going to produce this episode because my co-host is also my esteemed producer, and that is his job, but he's not here, and so I'm going to do my very best to produce a decent podcast. We do have a guest this week. Her name is Dr. Patricia A. Crisp, ND. Discovering Wellness LLC is her company, and she should be joining us momentarily. Um, our show is also sponsored by our sponsor, non-sponsor, Discovering Wellness LLC. And you can see what the good Dr. Patricia A. Crisp has for you by going to patcrisp.com. That's PATCRISP.com. She's a wellness um, practitioner, and I'll let her describe what she does when she joins us. I am a pescatarian, right? Pescatarian means that you don't eat um, meat, you only eat seafood, so you're only indulging in seafood and, of course, your grains and your veggies and your fruits and all of that, but you don't eat chicken, fish, uh, not fish, you eat fish, but you don't eat chicken, turkey, or hamburger, because to me, that's suicide, self-murder. You don't eat pig, beef, chicken, or turkey. And even in the pescatarian world, there's some restrictions there as well. You'd be a fool as a pescatarian to eat um, catfish or tilapia. And some would say you'd be crazy to eat lobster, crab, or shrimp. People always ask me, okay, so you don't eat meat. How do you go about doing that? And the simplest way I found um, to help people start that journey. We love those words now. We love journey, my truth, all that kind of stuff. We love those words, right? So if you want to start your journey on no meat and you wanna have a season of no meat, um, I tell people the same thing I told myself. I'm not going to eat any chicken or turkey today, and I probably won't eat any chicken or turkey tomorrow. Right? That's it. Because anything else would be scary, right? To say I'm never going to eat chicken again, I'm never going to eat turkey again would be scary. So I don't look at it that way. Um, and a more accurate description of what I am in terms of my diet might be I'm an infrequent eater of meat, right? So I'll never eat pork again. Like I haven't eaten pork since high school, and I'm not going back to that. I gave up beef second some years later. Here's our guest calling in. So go ahead and tell me about your backdrop. You said you got that from somewhere.
Yes, I bought this from St. Helena's Island in 2005. St. Helena's Island, I love it. South Carolina has a lot of our history. And St. Helena's Island has the first school that educated Blacks in this country is on St. Helena's Island. And I went to visit it. But I bought this from there and I loved it. So I took it to a seamstress and they put a seam across it and then I hung it on the wall.
Very good. Now is that like a Geechee Island?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
It's in
right.
the Gullah Geechee. Yep.
Gullah Geechee.
Yep.
I know a teeny tiny little bit about that. So, so Dr. Patricia Chris, welcome to the Way Left podcast.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, so I was going to read off some things that I found about you,
Okay.
like a bio, but I decided no, she's going to be here. And nobody wants to hear me read a bunch of stuff about what you did and when you did it. You can just tell us in your own words uh, about your contribution to the field that you're in.
Okay. I had a very challenging childhood. I was sexually abused, went through a lot of things, and was actively suicidal, all kinds of things. And then I told the creator, obviously, you want me here. You're going to have to show me. So I had a degree in elementary ed. I opened up a daycare preschool in New Jersey that was open 24/7, 365 days a year. For 20 years, the last 10 years, it was a holistic center. I went back, I got a degree in Soch, got a degree in psych, and I'm like, this isn't helping. I want to heal mind, body, spirit. I got certified as an HHP, a holistic health practitioner, which entailed certification in 9 different healing modalities, including traditional Chinese medicine. I got CNHP, which gives me board certification as a drugless practitioner. And then I got my master's in holistic psych and my doctorate in naturopathy. And I'm actually also an ordained minister in mind body healing. I did all this to heal the trauma from my childhood. I didn't know about the holistic field. And with my center, I told my staff, I said, you continue to teach. I'm going to work with the children holistically. Every child that was on meds, their doctors took them off within 3 to 4 months. I wasn't charging for the holistic healing. I made enough in my center. And so the parents started coming in, bringing their friends and family. The FDA inspectors were coming in, bringing their friends and family. So after a year, the creator said, "You need to go in private practice." I said, "No, I'm making too much money." 5 years went by. I still remember the day, July 11th, 2007. I woke up and I said, "I have this much faith, but I can't fight you anymore. You're going to have to show me this is what I'm supposed to do." And I told my parents on July 13th, my staff and the state I was closing. All the children were found homes, other schools by the 28th of July, found jobs for all my staff. One retired and sold all my equipment. I said, "Oh, you weren't joking, were you?" And 2 months later, my sister from Alabama sent me an article from a newspaper reporter in Montgomery, Alabama, that went to this medical doctor that had this scan. So I started doing research on it and stuff. And at that time, the gentleman that made it is from Australia. The main office was in England. The main office in this country was in Clemens, North Carolina, and I lived in New Jersey. And so I came to Clemens and I did the training. And up until Peter Fraser died about 8, 9 years ago, he would only sell it to you if you were an ND or an MD. And I was just amazed at what I could see in the scan. And then took the products and I felt the difference and I went into the healing field. And I told the creator, "Okay, I know you're smarter than I am, but I was even amazed at how much I understand the human body, and everyone is different. And just because something is natural doesn't make it safe, and nothing works the same for everyone. So I test each individual person to see what products. And healing is mental, physical, spiritual, energetic, and nutrition. And I do all of it. And all diseases, all ages. I do counseling, all diseases, all ages, all genders. And all disease and every organ in the body has an emotional root. Nothing can manifest on this physical plane without it coming from a thought. And so with healing, it's about healing the physical body, but then it's about healing what caused it in the first place. Otherwise, it can come back. And my clients will say, "Oh, you can read my mind." No, I can read your body. You tell me what diseases and organs you have, I can tell you what your life has been like. And with MS, a person with MS has gone through such a severe trauma that they are still there. So if it happened to them at 9 and they're 50 now, they're a 9-year old. Mentally, they are still at 9 years old, even though the body has gone, but mentally, emotionally, they're still there. So it's affecting the body. And bipolar, someone has gone through a severe trauma, and the only way they can get through it is to divide into two people. Cancer is long-term unforgivingness and or resentment. And then you take the organs. The liver is anger, kidneys are fear, lungs are grief. But yeah, everything. And when I tell people the meaning of the emotional root, they're like, everybody's like, yep, they understand it. And when people get diagnosed, I usually ask them when were they diagnosed, and then I go back 12 to 18 months and say what happened then, and they immediately know because that was it takes 12 to 18 months for unresolved emotional trauma to manifest as disease.
Okay, so that's a lot to digest. I'm not even sure if I'm qualified to ask questions about all what you just said, but let me give it a try. So if I'm trying to think of something that's actually ailed me. Okay, so I was diagnosed with what's that heartburn thing? Acid reflux.
Acid reflux.
Right. I was probably 24, 25 years old at the time. So that's 25 years ago. You can do the math on how old I am. So I was given a cabbage and was told to juice the cabbage, drink the juiced cabbage, and the acid reflux would go away. And it did for a number of years. It just went away.
Okay.
But what emotion,
The
what trauma?
throat. Okay, so the throat. How
Hmm.
good were you at speaking your truth to people? Yes.
How
So
good was
that's
I
where,
at
yes. How
standing up
good
for
were you? Yes. Yes. And you probably weren't that good, and that's what caused the throat problems.
Okay, but why is that the case?
Who raised you?
My mother and father raised me.
Okay, were both of your parents in the home every day till you were 18?
Hmm.
Neither one of them traveled for work and would come back a couple of days or a week later or anything? Either of them in the service?
At the time that I was alive, no. My dad
Okay.
was in the Air Force.
Were your were did any of your grandparents die in the first 18 years of your life? Okay. So the reason I would say acid reflux because it's in your throat, and the throat has to do with how communication. So that's why I asked you, how good were you at that time with speaking your truth to people? And the fact that you weren't that good, that's what cause all those words and all that emotion with those words to be in your throat and cause disease.
So the fact that if somebody wrongs me, I just kind of brush it under the rug and not confront it or not deal with it, that's affecting the throat.
Yes, that can affect the throat. Yes. And so, what I suggest with my clients, if you choose not to or cannot speak your truth to people, if you live by yourself, just let it out in your house. And if you don't, if you live with someone else, then get in your car, take a ride, pull over on the side of the road, and let it out. Yes, yes, let it out. I tell people, even I tell people it is okay to be angry. It's how you let it out. And I suggest that people buy a tabletop punching bag. You have no idea punching a punching bag, how much that will allow you to let all that out. But it's about letting it out. And as people of color, we were taught to suck it up and keep moving. That is why we have the highest rate of disease because all that sucking up those emotions created a whole bunch of disease.
Skipped ahead on me a little bit, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jump into that since you mentioned it. So
Okay.
one of my questions for you is going to be because you mentioned we as Black people we have the highest rate of disease. Is that in pretty much every category?
That was in a lot of categories, and it was for years, and especially when I was growing up and stuff. But what I realized is our ancestors taught us how to survive with brown skin in a white capitalist society because that's all they knew. So I teach people how to thrive. But we were taught that putting yourself first is selfish. That's a lie. It is impossible for the human body to give to someone else what it cannot give to itself. If a person doesn't love themselves, they cannot give nor receive love. If a person doesn't respect themselves, they cannot give nor receive it. But I grew up being told all the time that, putting yourself first is selfish. Money is the root of all evil. Cancel all of that. And, just stuff it and keep it moving. But all of that is what causes, because all of that can create disease in the body.
So are there any good stats? I know we have like hypertension, high blood pressure. We all get the diabetes, as we call it. But are there, if there are there any upward trends?
Yeah. Now, okay, for me, if you saw the video, this was on PBS, and it was so long ago that I bought the DVD that went the 8 track, not the DVD, the 8 track.
Boy,
And now they have it on the internet. But I have the 8 track, and then a friend of mine put it on a DVD. But there were a group of white scientists in England that proved that all mankind came from a woman in Africa. And they proved that just by going to the different parts of the world with the climate and all that determines skin, hair, and all of that. And at the end, they had all these different ethnicities. Everyone had the same mitochondrial DNA. And they said, now history must change. Still hasn't changed. But that is the truth, and they proved it. But yes.
okay. So are we are we getting any better? Is there something that we actually maybe not immune is the right word, but is there something that's less likely to happen to us as it would to our, let's call them counterparts?
Oh, yeah. I think that we're more durable, that we can tolerate and make it through trauma and stuff better because what happened to our ancestors. And that has built. So, yes, I think that we are more um, stronger. Yes,
Pliable.
yes, yes.
We used to say that skin cancer was one of those things, right? Because skin cancer is usually caused by UV rays and all of that.
Mhm.
And the melanin that we have in our skin bounces the sun. And so we don't get skin cancer. But there's no, or maybe there is truth to that. I don't know. You're the expert.
And it's funny because I've never gotten into I never had a course where they talked about the different ethnicities and the diseases that who has the most and stuff. We just talked about now high blood pressure. High blood pressure is a long-standing emotional problem unresolved. Well, when they enslaved our ancestors, the medical researchers and scientists have proven when the egg is fertilized that becomes a person, they can have 7 generations of stuff from both sides of the family. Slavery in this country was not 7 generations back. So a lot of the trauma from our ancestors were not slaves, they were enslaved. There's a difference. And a lot of the trauma that our ancestors went through when they were enslaved, some of that has been passed down. And that's what we're dealing with.
I saw another woman talking about that on
Mhm.
YouTube something, or I can't remember what it was. It might have been Malcolm Jamal Warner's show.
Okay.
And she talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a different question then.
Hmm.
I remember 8, 9, 10 years ago, there was this book, Eat This, Not That. You familiar with that?
No, I'm not, but
No? Okay,
no.
so there was a book, MD guy who said, stay away from processed foods and things of that nature. So if you gotta have a this, don't eat this version of it. Don't eat the Nabisco version, eat this other version. So it was eat this, not that. So since you're not familiar, this would actually be good. Uh, can you think of three things that you would say do this and not that, um, in terms of diet or
Okay. A couple of
exercise?
things. First of all, I have a cellular healing food list. 96% of all disease in this country can be eliminated through diet, but it can be very challenging eating healthy in this country. I have a cellular healing food list that is a list of foods that removes all foods that causes inflammation because all disease comes from inflammation. So anyone with cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, any diseases, I put them on that. But one thing I suggest, do not eat soy. And I get a lot of, because back in the 1990s, men were getting breast cancer a lot. And when they did the research, they found that soy is the major cause of breast cancer. And certified organic is the best. Certified healthy protein and organic leafy vegetables build the body up. But fast foods, things like that, yeah. And now there was a group of scientists in 2022. They found that 5G is causing Alzheimer's and dementia and starting at a much younger age. They also found that 5G is affecting the weather. And that made sense to me because global warming was one thing. This weather now is crazy. Nature is confused. The animals are confused. Food is not growing properly. So now the FDA has allowed companies to label to make fake food and not label it. So be very, very careful, people, now what you buy. And in this country, they can label things gluten free and still have 18% gluten in it. And that's a law by the FDA. Anything in a can, bottle, package, box, container, glass, they can label it organic as long as one ingredient is organic. So it is important to read the ingredient labels, but now that's even a little challenging because they can make fake food and not label it.
So what's an example of a fake food?
All the chicken at Chick-fil-A now is supposed to be fake. Yeah. And I had a client and he told me, I was telling him about this when it happened, when the report came out. He said, yeah, he had bought some meat and he cooked it. And when he chewed it, the first bite, he said it tastes like plastic. He threw it in the trash.
This was from Chick-fil-A?
No, this was from a local supermarket here.
So even the
Yeah.
food in the supermarket
Yes. Oh, yeah. Foods in the supermarket. Yes. They can let, yes.
also
Yes.
fake in your estimation.
Right. No, what I'm saying is that, oh, yeah, there's a lot of it that's fake because now, prior to this report coming out and the FDA changing their law, things had to be listed. So everything would be listed on the ingredient list. If it was fake or not, they had to list it. Now they don't have to list fake foods.
So are we talking about like that bioengineered
Yeah, and all this other
infant?
stuff that, yeah, and stuff that they put in and plastic and this and that, they don't have to label that now.
Okay, because I saw a box of pudding. I
Mhm.
I wanted to make some pudding, and it said ingredients bioengineered, or at least some of them were. And so,
Yep,
of course, I put the box back.
yep,
I'm not eating that. I'll just make
yep,
homemade pudding. Takes longer, but I
right.
know I won't get, any of that
Yes,
stuff.
yep,
So,
yep.
what is a bioengineered ingredient? What does that even
I have
mean?
no idea because I have never even, what it means is that they put it together in a laboratory. Yeah, that's all it is. So it's not real food because real food is not made in laboratories, it's grown in the ground. And now for certified organic, there are two brothers locally here, one in Chapel Hill and one in Roxborough. They have certified organic farms, and I love it. But and I was saying like 5, 6 years ago, I said for things to be certified organic in this country, they're going to have to be raised and covered. And when I went to both their farms, their foods were raised and covered because this the what is it the chemtrails from the planes and all the stuff that's in the air now can come down. Those chemicals can come down and go into the food. And then their neighbors, if they're using chemicals with their fruits and vegetables, if there's farms next to you, or they're putting chemicals on their land, when it rains, that can come into. So I was saying, I think it was about 8 years ago, I said, yeah, now for certified organic, it's got to be raised and covered. Both of their farms, their foods are raised and covered.
And you have to tell me who that is and where they're located so we can put that in the
Okay, and one is Obi, and he's at Abanitu Farms in Roxborough.
Roxborough, North Carolina.
Yes, and his name is Obi. And the other one, I forget his name, and I'll have to look it up. Um, he's in Chapel Hill. Okay, his name is Howard, uh, and the name of his farm is Faithful Farms, and it's in North Carolina.
Faithful Farms.
Yes, and I really, when I first found out about him, I loved it because you could go on his website, place your orders. He would tell you what foods were available. You could place your orders and then just go to his farm and pick up your um your orders every week. It was so nice. But now he's at Carborough Farmers Market.
So you mentioned a food list,
Uh-huh.
and you're talking about inflammation, which is something I've always heard from the late great Dr. Sebi. He talked about his electric foods, right? So is what you're talking about in that same vein?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a list of foods, and then a lot of you there's a super candida that's been out in this country for 17 years, and it's called a super candida because they have no pharmaceutical drugs that can touch it. I do have some natural products, and then I put people on. I took the cellular healing food list and then removed all the foods that feed the candida, and call it a yes food list. But anyone that takes an antibiotic automatically gets it. Anyone that takes a steroid automatically gets it. Or if sugar is 30% or more of a person's daily intake of food, all alcohol, all starch, all carbohydrates, all fruits, all sugar, honey, agave, maple syrup, lactose, fructose, all break down to sugar. Avocados, lemons, limes, tomatoes are fruits. They break down to sugar. Peanuts, peanut butter, pistachios, half sugar, half amino acid. Legumes, dried beans, half sugar, half amino acid. If that is 30% or more of a person's daily intake of food, then they get this super candida. A lot of people have no idea all the things that once the body processes it, it's sugar.
So a plate of soul food is basically a plate full of sugar.
Yeah. So it's healthy protein and healthy certified organic leafy green vegetables are very So it's about eating, just the healthier things and a lot of vegetables and yeah.
All right, because I had a soul food question for you.
Uh-huh.
If I get a slight, which I know the answer to this, of course, but maybe someone else doesn't. So if I get a slice of cornbread and I eat the sweet potatoes the way we typically prepare them, and I have a sweet tea, and I get a slice of red velvet cake after dinner, and maybe I have some sort of protein mixed in there, some smothered turkey wings or something like that. I've basically had a plate full of sugar, right?
Yes. Yes.
Macaroni and cheese
Yes.
to go along with
Yes.
that.
Yes, now the cheese is a protein, the
Right.
meat is a protein, but everything else is sugar.
It's pure sugar.
Yes.
I used to
Yes.
say when people would put the sweet potatoes on the plate, I say that's pie filling. That's not a yam. That's pie
And
filling.
I also suggest to people if you eat or drink something and your nose runs or you feel tired, it's telling you that what you're eating and or drinking is negatively impacting your immune system.
She's talking about the itis now.
Yeah. And the body is always talking to people. I asked this one guy, I said, "Do you have gas?" He says, "Doesn't everyone know? Gas is not normal. If you
Okay,
have gas, then you have problems with your digestive tract."
okay. So that brings me to another question. I was going to ask you a question about detoxing.
Mhm.
So is detoxing the first step to get rid of the flatulence that everybody has, according to the gentleman you were talking to?
That is okay. So detoxing can now, and then it depends on the detox. And I always tell people when you detox, you still have to make sure you are taking all your vitamins and minerals because the body still needs vitamins and minerals, healthy vitamins and minerals daily. So it really depends on the detox. But you don't have to detox, you can just start eating healthy again. Um, and that's enough. And the system will clear itself out. And yeah.
So is detox like something, because we hear a lot about it. So is that something people are doing to try to circumvent healthy diet? Like, okay, if I detox, that's
Yeah,
a
sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times they do. Yeah. And I have now, if people are going on a weight loss program, one of my wholesalers has a 2 week detox program that detoxes all of the organs. And then you go on to a diet, a weight loss program. So a lot of times, and then sometimes now I eat very healthy at home, but my problem is I travel a lot. Like I go to DC at Maryland every 6 weeks. I've got clients up there and family and stuff. I don't stress myself out when I travel. I eat as best as I can when I travel. But like I'm getting ready to start a detox next week. And the one that I'm using is Detoxamine. It's a suppository and it's a 2 month container and you insert it in the rectum every other night at bedtime. Now, this is so powerful. It will pull heavy metals out of the entire body. And I always test stuff. I don't go by what companies say. So when I tested this for the first time before I started selling it, I would wake up, I could taste heavy metals in my mouth because the lungs, there's 5 organs that detox the body. I wake up some mornings, I could smell the heavy metals in my skin. Once you take a shower, it's gone. Once you brush your teeth, it's gone. My bowels, a couple of times, it looked like there was aluminum foil in it because the large intestines and stuff. But it not only pulls the heavy metals out of the body, it also, because it's inserted in the rectum, it goes into every vein and organ in the body. So it will clean out all of your veins and organs, plaque, blood clots, all of that. It is like phenomenal.
This is something that you have available.
Yes, I have, and it goes by weight, and it's safe enough. I can give to children a year old on up, and it goes by weight.
It goes by weight. So I would have to contact you in order to get a hold of this.
Yes, yes, you
Okay.
could not. You'd have to be a licensed practitioner to be able to purchase it. Yes, and when I have clients that are on chemo, I have one girl. She was on chemo. Anyone on chemo, I suggest that they do the detoxamine because it will allow the chemo and all the pharmaceutical drugs that they're giving them to do their job, but it will remove the heavy metals that the chemo and the drugs are doing. And one client said, my doctor said, "Why aren't you sick?" when she was on chemo. She said, "Because I'm going to a naturopath." Well, after her first round of chemo, and she went and they do the testing and all of that. When she came back for the results, he said everything's in normal range. Continue seeing your naturopath.
Keep doing that.
And that was hyper thyroid. And basically, all they have is third surgery for that. After her third visit to me, she said, I hope you don't mind, but my doctor wanted your name and number so that she could give it to her patients. I said, no, that's no problem. But, you know, there's not, pharmaceutical drugs don't heal the body. There's only two that do. They suppress the symptoms and stuff, but the body is designed to heal itself. But sometimes people wait too long because healing itself, it takes time. And what the body usually does is pushes it out. I tell people when you have genital herpes, it's going to push it out of your body. It's not going to suppress it. It will push it all out of your body.
Talking about the sexually transmitted disease.
Yep. Yeah,
So you have a cure for that?
I have a remedy for that. Yes.
Is it food grade hydrogen peroxide?
No.
That doesn't
So
work?
it's a no, it's a protocol from one of my wholesalers. And it's a 2 week detox. And then they have these products that you take and you take them a certain way and this, that, and the other, and it will. And then after they do that, I have two products, Polarity and ED15. Polarity is the healing field and makes stem cells. And then the ED15 removes, one of the things it does is it pushes viruses out of the body. So after they finish the program from the wholesaler, then I have them take the Polarity and the ED15 till they have no pings, no nothing, and then go back to their doctors, and their doctors tell them that it's gone.
We don't believe.
I had Hep C from a blood transfusion. It took me 6 months to get rid of it. Hepatitis C. I was in full menopause. I hadn't had a cycle in 3 years. But when your hormones get off, then your mind can go crazy. So I started losing my mind. And so I went on, I was in New Jersey then, and a girlfriend of mine said, oh, there's a doctor in Delaware that has the bioidentical hormones. So I went to Delaware, got the bioidentical hormones. Then I started spotting. I went back to her. She gave me another medicine. I started bleeding. At that point, I knew I had uterine cancer. I went to my gynecologist and he told me, she should have told you that that is something, uterine cancer is something that the bioidentical hormones can give. Because I know you wouldn't have taken them because I was already in this field. And so, but that is why I moved to North Carolina, because I tested and it said that I could heal myself. But I realized everybody had me running their lives and this, that, and the other. I had no friends, no family, nothing in in North Carolina. So I moved here and I did my scan every 4 weeks. All of my wholesalers, I went through and tested all of their products, whatever came up, yes. I took it. I let my body tell me what it needed. I bled with blood clots every day for 2 years. And then it was done. No one knew I had cancer. No one even knew I was sick. I went back to my gynecologist. He declared me cancer free in 2010, and I've been cancer free ever since. Yep.
That's amazing. So, how much pushback do you get from people when you talk about this? The
None.
non-believers? None?
None. I haven't gotten any. And when I was a young child, I always knew that the Creator guided me. I just thought everyone else was like me. It wasn't until I became an adult. And people are like, how do you know that? And I'm like, no, what? And why don't you know? I don't remember how old I was when I told the Creator, okay, I understand. You gave me these gifts and talents. I'm ready to use them. My IQ was 144 in seventh grade, and I never took a book home. And that is because the Creator, we are all spiritual beings in a physical body. I just always paid attention to it. So the Creator gives me a way to talk to people. Plus, I have no judgment of anyone. There is no human behavior that I don't understand. I don't condone all behavior, but I understand it and I have no judgment. So people can tell me, I will talk to them about the body and what they've gone through, but they can tell I have no judgment. So they can be open and listen. And yeah.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Hmm.
without the judgment, you get people to buy in a
Right.
little better with
Right.
what
Yep.
you're
They
talking about.
understand.
Right.
And especially when I explain it, the things that they've gone through in their life and how the human body, regardless of ethnicity, gender, or religion, there's just certain things that the human body goes through certain things. It's going to create different things in the body. And just explaining to people about the human body and different things and stuff like that. And then they can understand. I have a lot of people that say, oh, my family doesn't want to heal. And I said, it's not necessarily that people don't want to heal. Many people don't know that they can heal, that their life can be better, because this is all they've known. This is all they've seen.
So
But wait a minute, let me tell you about abandonment. Now, this is something that really, really surprised me when I went into private practice. Any human being, regardless of ethnicity, gender, or religion, that is not raised with both biological parents in the home every day till they're 18, the body takes it as abandonment. If a grandparent or a sibling dies in a person's lifetime before they're 18, the body takes it as abandonment. I've seen it with a parent that works in the fire department because they have 2 days on, 2 days off. A parent that's in the service because they have to do tours, or a truck driver, or a pilot, or a parent that dies, or they separate and then get back together, or they have to travel. But then the challenge is trust. They don't trust themselves, therefore, they cannot trust others. The antidote is love. They don't love themselves, therefore, they cannot give nor receive love. And until or unless they heal that abandonment, they will attract people and situations that will abandon them, and or people in situations they will abandon before they get abandoned. And where it affects them is time. They're anal about being on time or chronically late. Now, I would say 1 out of 2 people in this country have been abandoned. I was surprised. And a lot of my clients say they think it's even more than that. And then if it doesn't heal, wounds attract. So the wound of abandonment attracts people, but they haven't healed it, so the relationship doesn't last. Then they have children and it gets passed down to their children. But I can have a 5, 10 minute conversation with someone and tell if they've been abandoned. And everyone that I've talked to that has been abandoned, I tell them that they're like, yep, that's been my life. And whatever age, any wound that anyone goes through, and abandonment is a wound, whatever age the wound occurred, people are still that age until they heal it. And to me, that is the biggest problem in this country. We have all these wounded children walking around in adult bodies trying to live adult lives.
here. So is it fair to say, because you have this duality with, I guess, how you treat people? It's well, more than duality because it's mind, spirit, body, and all that. So if I came to you, Dr. Patricia, and said, I'm having this medical issue, you're not just going to hand me some herbs or some sort of program and say, okay, this will heal you. You're going to, there's going to be a consultation.
Yes, I have a scan. It's called a Provision scan. And I do it virtually. I do it virtually or in person. I've got clients all over the world. But in my office, you would put your hand on an apparatus that's like an oversized mouse, and it scans the human body field. That's 144,000 electrical pathways in the body. And it picks up from the day, in about 30 seconds. It picks up from the day you were conceived to things that are developing in the body. And it is color coded to tell me what each area, to what degree, if any, it's out of balance. And on the first screen is polarity. Polarity is important. That is the healing field. So that's the one thing I'm going to look at first. If your polarity isn't in balance and your body's not in a position to heal and take in nutrients properly, and I do have products to address all of these. And then day and night. The body's on a 24-hour clock, 12-hour day, 12-hour night. At night, one of the biggest things is that's when the body rests and repairs itself. And then BFA is the earth. There's three energetic bands on the earth. And since we live on the earth, it's nice to be in sync with the earth. And when you are not, there are four different areas that it will affect you physically. Then the drivers, that's 15 categories at the organ level. The integrators, 15 categories at the tissue level. I can pull up every organ in the body. All the organs are there, all the parts of the organs, and they are color coded to tell me to what degree, if any, they are out of balance. And then 15 categories of microbes. And then ET1 will tell me if your immune system is negatively impacted by genetics. ET2 will tell me if you came in with heavy metals from family that's negatively impacting your immune system. ET3 will tell me if you have unresolved emotional trauma you brought in from family. ET4 will tell me if there's interference in your nervous system that is genetic. And I do have a product that removes genetic imprinting. And then the stars are a deep subsystem. I can see if you have radiation throughout your body at the cellular level, if radiation has shut your immune system off. Since 2020, 80 to 90% the population of the country I'm scanning, their immune system has been shut down from this 5G. Then I can see if you have heavy metals throughout your body at the cellular level, in your nervous system at the cellular level, muscles at the cellular level. The Krebs cycle, that's a 125-step process that the body goes through to convert the food you're eating into energy. I can see if you are storing energy properly. I can see autoimmune. I can see if your endocrine system needs detoxing. I can see if you have seen or heard things that have caused post traumatic stress that are still impacting you. Then it goes into nutrition. I can see if you are lactose or gluten intolerant. Then there's three different areas that will tell me if you're absorbing your food. Then many people take vitamins or minerals. They don't know if they're absorbing them or not and metabolizing them. I can see which ones they're absorbing and metabolizing. Then it goes into environmentals. There's 9 different categories of environmentals. And it will tell me, of course, to what degree, if any, they're affecting you and what organs and systems are being affected. 8 categories of radiation. Then it goes into musculoskeletal. Then there's an energy blockage. If the body can flow and it can communicate, it can heal itself. This one screen will show me energy blockages and how it's affecting you. Then I can see all 7 chakras, if they're open or not. There's a screen that will tell me there may be some things that are blocking you from manifesting what you want right now. Then there's a screen that has 20 different negative core beliefs, 20 different negative core emotions that your subconscious is operating off of. And your subconscious is 90 to 95% of all human behavior. And then the 4 parts of the brain. The 4 parts of the brain will give shock traumas. So this will give me a description of a shock trauma that you've gone through that you haven't healed and where it's located in your body. And when I have parents and young children, and the mother, a shock trauma that's passed from the child, I'll see it in her scan and I'll see it in the child's scan. The father's scan and in the child's scan. So by the time I finish the scan, it goes into everything. Yeah. Come to me and said, my doctor said something's wrong, but they can't figure it out. I've been able to figure out. Yeah.
Things that the doctors can't find.
Yep. Yep.
So, okay, this is going to sound like an infomercial now, but for the low, low price of $19.99, you too can get Dr. So, what would something like that? Because there's two things that I'm passionate about, um, especially since starting this podcasting. Uh, Men and women, Black men and women's relationships and how they navigate those effectively, and then the wealth problem, the financial problem, because most of the problems that I find in our couples, as everybody knows, 60% of all marriages end. We are the lowest rate of married people in the country by percentage, and most of those divorces are happening, or most of those connections aren't being made because the finances are just not there for the man, for the potential husband, right? Or if you're already married, the husband doesn't make enough and then divorce happens. So I always try to talk to our people as they are, which are on the bottom financially throughout the country. It's repeat throughout the system. 48,000 per year is the median income for Black men. For women, depending on whose study you look at, it's slightly above or slightly higher. Usually, it's slightly higher unless you insert children into that woman's life. So if she has no children, her earning is higher. If she has children, earning is significantly lower. I say all that to say this sounds expensive, Dr. Chris.
Nope. Nope. I went into private practice in 2007. On my website, healthcare is a right, not a privilege. I charge $150 for the initial consultation and $75 for follow ups. The initial consultation, I allow 2 hours because I go over everything in the scan and every aspect of their lives. With follow ups, with each follow up, the scan goes deeper into the body, and the scans will be side by side so they can virtually track their progress. And I go over what cleared from the time before, and then I go into what the body's ready. But I've had that price since 2007. I have not changed it.
You have not been affected by inflation
Yeah.
or tariffs.
Now, my thing is, I believe that healthcare is a privilege.
Is that
It's
right?
a right, not a privilege. And so I had a woman come to me, and she had MS, and her son had 3 inoperable brain tumors, and got rid of all that. She was on Medicaid, took 3 years. I didn't charge her a penny.
So what'd you charge? Medicaid?
No, no one.
Just did it on the
Right.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Did it on the
Yeah.
cuff, as we used to
One of
say
the
back.
saddest things, looking at a 6-year-old little boy who knew he was dying.
Right. So you couldn't
Yep.
stomach that.
And it's funny because she said, I told his doctor, his oncologist, that I was bringing him to you. And he didn't say anything. He said, but now, he said, what are you doing? Because he could see the tumors were shrinking. Yeah. Yeah.
Is what the doctor wanted to know. All
Yes.
right. This is the Way Left podcast, speaking with Dr. Crisp, Dr. Patricia Crisp. And as you all know, sometimes I like to go a little left. So I'm going to go a little left. Gonna get outside the box a little bit. Like I said, primarily we deal with relationships on this show, and I deal with relationships in my life outside of this space. Everybody always wants to know, what do I do? My wife this. What do I do? My husband's that. So I have answers for most of those things, but I have a question that I don't have an answer to.
Okay.
How do I increase a woman's libido? Wait, let me rephrase. How do I legally increase a woman's libido? Is that possible with your herbs and things? And
Well, okay, so it would be a couple of things. And I do counseling. I do couples counseling, I do individual counseling and all of that stuff. But for a woman's libido, the thyroid
yes,
affects it. The liver affects it. So those two organs are the two organs that I would be looking at. And then the other, was she sexually abused as a child? Because if she was, that will affect it as well. So yeah. So there's different areas to look at.
so if I give her a liver replacement, like a good healthy one, that could work.
If it's the liver, if it's not the liver, it's not going to help.
Oh, both. I need the liver and the thyroid.
No, what I do is see, I test each individual person.
Okay.
So I have dowsing. I have a dowsing chart and a pendulum. And I test each individual person to see what their body needs. I'm asking the spirit in them what it needs because it's smarter than I am. I don't assume, and just because something is natural doesn't make it safe, and nothing works the same for everyone. And I knew Dr. Sebi, I met him, And in the last 2 years of his life, he was in the process of changing all of his formulas because what used to work 10, 20, 30 years ago, most of that doesn't work now because of all that we are exposed to now. The foods, the environmentals, the radiation, all of this.
Right. So his electric food diet, he was getting ready to modify that
Yes. Yes.
based on the new information, the new environment,
Yes.
things like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at his 1997 chart, that's a little dated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, you still need to test. And I always tell people if you go to a natural person and they don't test to see what your body needs, don't take it. And I give, because just because something's natural doesn't make it safe, and nothing works the same for everyone. And I give Golden Seal as a great example. Golden Seal is phenomenal. There's like 50 things that it can work on. But if you have high blood pressure, it can shoot your pressure through the roof and put you in the hospital. If you have low sugar, it can drop your sugar and put you in the hospital. So it's like, yeah. But I always test everybody to see what they need.
Okay. So
And
this
even
so
myself. And I have pharmaceutical grade, all natural products from Germany and Canada, things that they don't have any quality products here that even come close to them. I have 5 pharmaceutical grade products from Germany. Anyone that has had COVID since March of 2020 has gotten rid of it in 3 to 5 days.
because of the whatever
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yes.
Right.
But
But
yeah, you got to test the products, even though they're natural.
so there's no, so in other words, we cannot blanket therapy this thing and say, well,
Right.
this, because what's an example? Okay, so I had bronchitis years
Uh-huh.
ago. I used to work with asbestos and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up with the bronchitis, went to the doctor. They gave me, Western medicine solutions, none
Uh-huh.
of which worked. So I go to my herbalist and he says, look, you take the zinc, you take the elderberry, you take the vitamin C, and it'll be gone. And sure enough, in 3 days, it was gone.
Yeah.
But he didn't, nothing of what you're talking about. He didn't do any testing or anything.
Right. And see, now, bronchitis is in the bronchioles, which is different than the lungs. Bronchitis and asthma are in the bronchioles. So, people with bronchitis and asthma, I usually suggest, and I'll test lobelia by Herb Farm. But for bronchitis, the emotional root, inflamed family environment, arguments and yelling, sometimes silent, too silent. And
Okay.
that's the emotional root to bronchitis.
Well,
And then the affirmations would be I declare peace and harmony within me and around me. All is well. So, with the affirmations, I suggest that people do them until they believe them. When I'm working with people now with things, yes.
right. Because the,
Yes.
the, the mind does have to participate in your healing.
Oh, the nothing can manifest, no disease, no organs in the body, nothing can manifest on this physical plane without it coming from a thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what you said makes sense. I was living with a combative, I don't want
Yeah.
to live her. She was,
Yeah.
but we were getting into it a lot, you
Yeah.
know.
And that's why you got the bronchitis.
Right. So I didn't get it from the asbestos. I got it from arguing and wagging my
That's
finger at this
right.
woman.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So, all right. So, from your point of view, you wouldn't suggest anyone do anything without someone like you present to make
Yeah.
sure
And
that
I
they do.
have my clients, they'll text me, can I take this? And I just sit and douse and ask, and it's either yes or no. They'll be at a store, they'll call me. I'm here, I want to buy this. Can I test it? I just test it, you know? And I don't have an opinion at all because we are all spiritual beings in a physical body, and our spirit is smarter than we are. So I just test and go with it. I don't have an opinion about anything.
Fact based.
Yeah,
Take a fact based approach.
yeah,
Okay. Because I was going to ask you about food grade hydrogen peroxide and things like that, but that's not something you would say, well, take it this way and do this and
right.
it'll be
No,
fine. You would not.
no. I
Nice.
have, like I said, I have products from Germany that are phenomenal, you know, and yeah, and Canada that are phenomenal. Yes. And hydrogen peroxide can actually be harmful to people. So, yes.
Okay. So food grade hydrogen peroxide, what are the benefits of taking that?
No, because I have never ever tested
Success.
that or even given to anyone.
You've never
Yeah.
done that with anybody.
No, no.
Okay. So if I catch the flu and I just take a bunch of elderberry, that's the best rate to go. You would say no to that too.
No, no. Because if you get the flu, I have Temple Warrior from Canada. Anyone that has had any form of the flu has gotten rid of it in 24 to 72 hours.
With your product line.
Yes.
Well, not
Not
your
mine,
product
but it's from a
line,
Canadian
right?
company.
Right.
Yes.
The products
Uh-huh.
that you suggest.
And I do have echinacea from that same company. But for the flu, I give them Temple Warrior.
And that's it.
Yes.
All
And
right.
it will get rid of it like that. And
So
any form of the flu.
I saw on your website structured water, living water. Right? Okay. Can you explain a little bit what is this living water deal here?
That is a company that makes a product. Now, you can put it on the main water line coming into your house and it structures the water. So it will remove everything copper, lead, everything. So you have the best water going throughout your house. Now, when I lived in an apartment, I had it on my kitchen sink and on my shower. So I did all my cooking and stuff from my kitchen sink and I took a shower and it's fine. And then they had a portable one. So when I traveled, I would take the portable with me. But I read an article, I leave it in my refrigerator because I can put food, fresh fruits and vegetables in my refrigerator. They will last 2 months or more with that portable one sitting in there
Well, what? Why is that? What?
because of the structure. I don't know how they're actual, but it structures the energy and it just keeps them fresh. So I keep it in my refrigerator. But the
Okay.
structured water, that is what it does. It's a water purifying system. It's the only one that I would refer because I know it works. Now, as far as drinking water, I do the live alkaline water from Yadkinville, North Carolina. And it's a brother Emmanuel. He has 1,000 acres. It's been in his family 300 years. I forget which is which. His mother or his father. One was indigenous and one was black. And he was selling his water to Walmart. They offered him 38 million. He turned them down. Amazon offered him 25 million. He turned them down. He wants to keep it in the family. So he allowed two companies to private label it and they're selling it and now they deliver. So I get it delivered to my house once a month. They have 12 ounce, 16 ounce, half gallons, gallons, and then the 5 gallon containers for the water machines in people's houses. And what he has is an aquifer, and all he does is runs his water through cheesecloth. Yes, that's how pure the water is. But that's the water I grew up with when I was a child. And this is like the pure. I was drinking that. I was drinking Fiji before that, and then I was drinking the two of them. But then I stopped the Fiji because, well, I didn't know. I just listened to my spirit, and then a month later, I received an article. Fiji water had been bacteria had gone into the Fiji water.
So say it again. The brother's name and where you can get.
It's Brother Emmanuel, and it's live alkaline water. But wait a minute, let me give you. I can give you the website for it. Um,
You guys are gonna get the good water now.
yeah. And actually, okay, wait a minute. What's his name? You can just call. His name is King. This is the guy that delivers to me. And his phone number is 252 503 0907. And he's the guy that delivers. And just tell him that I referred you. But they even deliver in other states. So it's not just North Carolina that they deliver water to.
Okay, so see, so for all you people that are out in the Jerseys and the New Yorks where me and Dr. Chris are from, you can still get pure water. I see. I always buy this reverse osmosis water from the food co-op. You already going.
That's not really good because if they don't change the filter properly, you're getting crap water because it's tap water and they're putting it through a thing and yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So what's his water? It's coming from the ground.
Yes, he has an aquifer. It's in the ground and it's been there for 300 years.
So how's it not?
I don't know. I don't know how it replenishes, but it does. Well, there is like a stream that comes through his property, so it's constantly being refilled and
Refill through
whatever
the
and
stream.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
But the land there, oh my gosh, the first time I went out there, I had to take my shoes off. The land, the energy is so beautiful that whenever I go there, in my house, I'm always barefoot, but when I go there, I always have to take my shoes off because the land is just, you can just feel the energy. It's just so beautiful.
you want the earth on your toes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And there it just feels so good. Yeah.
See, for all you people out there, for you 8 people that are going to watch this tomorrow, what Dr. Patricia Chris is talking about is the things that I've always talked about. You know, play in the dirt, play in the sand, feel the earth, shut out the noise, be where your feet are. You know, wherever your feet are, understand the space that you're in. And so you can have a more abundant life if you take even just a little bit of what Dr. Patricia Crisp is talking about. Is there, okay, so I'll give you an opportunity now to tell people how to find you, how to contact you, um,
Okay.
and all of that.
So my cell phone number is 609-214-4358. And then my um, website is Pat, P as in Peter, A as in Apple, T as in Tom, Crisp, C as in cat, R as in Robert, I as in ice, S as in Sam, P as in Peter.com. The name of my business is, well, the like I said, my website is patcrisp.com. My email is wellness@patcrisp.com, and the name of my business is Discovering Wellness LLC. And I'm
Okay.
also on Facebook under Patricia Crisp and under Discovering Wellness. Yes.
On Facebook and Instagram.
Not Instagram, but Facebook. It's enough just doing Facebook every day.
So, yeah, I think you told me that when we met. So,
Yes.
so we met at the farmer's market
Right.
about 3 weeks ago, something like that. And so now you say you usually work on Saturdays. So you were that was a special trip. You were able to show up.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's rare.
Yes.
Yeah. But you did tell me that, yeah, you can't do them all. I found Instagram to be easier for me, so I kind of stuck with that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's
Facebook
like
was
what you're
simple.
introduced to. See, I don't find Facebook easy. I find that more difficult. I find Instagram easier for me. But
Okay. And Facebook is really easy for me. And they're to the point where they won't even put anything in my feed, negative stuff, because I don't pay attention to it. And like this morning, mistakes are blessings dressed in lessons. They didn't disappear. You shifted frequencies. You're not reachable on that channel anymore. And I am grateful for the chance that life offers me each day to start over and create the life that I want. I am grateful for the fact that I can learn from my mistakes and then let them go. I am grateful that the universe supports me with unconditional love to be the happiest and best person that I can be. We are the generation of light. We do not fear the darkness. The darkness fears us. And then phases of success. 0% I won't. 10% I can't. 20% I wish I could. 30% I don't know. 40% I think I might. 50% I want to. 60% I might. 70% I think I can. 80% I can. 90% I will. 100% I did. So this is the kind of stuff that courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. So this is the kind of stuff
That you get. It's not the
that
kind of
I
stuff I
post.
get.
Yep.
I won't sully this beautiful conversation with the kind of stuff that I get. Uh, but you know how Instagram do. You know what they do. As soon as you put male as your gender, and I guess African American or whatever, you just get a wave of, twerking. It's just all twerking.
Yeah.
And it's balancing a little bit, right? I've got some boxing, some basketball. I do get some positive stuff, of course. Uh, but the twerking is not going away. It's still there. Like there's always
Yeah.
like,
See, they don't do that with mine. Facebook doesn't even bother because they don't. I don't pay attention.
so you
Nope.
don't you don't get any Chippendales ads or anything like that.
No. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Well, it was lovely talking to you as usual, and I'm going to have to investigate uh, having having myself as your client
Okay.
so I can get myself cleaned up because I've got stuff going on. You know,
Okay.
I think the worst thing I have um, currently, I've been battling tendonitis. So
Okay.
it starts here. It's
Yeah.
usually now, okay, maybe you can answer this. It always starts in my hand. Where's my hand?
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. It always
Right.
starts in my hand. And then
Left hand or right hand?
almost always my left hand.
Okay.
And then from there it moves and it'll get into my back. And once it gets into my back, it's over. You know, I can't get up, I can't walk, I can't take a deep breath, can't do any of
Okay.
that. And so I need that gone. I need that
Okay.
out of here. All right.
Yep. I've dealt with tendonitis and different things and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that on your list. You had a list of things on your website there. So
Good.
again, it was lovely talking to you. This was great.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.